Hi there folks, thanks for joining me all on my first live feed today. Firstly, thanks for all taking the time on a Sunday to tune in and learn a little bit more about what we're doing today. This is my first live feed, so I've invested in a new bit of tech, especially to do this event today. It does mean that, as I said in the comments, there's a 15-minute delay, so I'm not really sure how that's going to work out, how this feed is going. So there is a message box if there's any problems with the feed or anything like that. Just let me know and bear with me. This is the first of hopefully many, but I'm guessing it won't go without a technical hitch today. So what I wanted to do today, what I was drawn to do today, is just try and get everyone a little bit engaged and involved in what I've been posting about on YouTube and Facebook recently, and talk a little bit about where I'm coming from in the discovery of this, and a little bit about how there's a lot of facts based beyond what I've been posting and the content I've been recording. And then secondly, in the later part of today, we should be running for about an hour, I reckon. What I want to do is my last video, Unlocking the Matrix, I hope all of you watched that. We covered a little bit about how to manifest what you want, how to start to unlock the matrix, and start to understand that positive thinking and positive affirmations can really help shape your day for the positive. Now, I have a particular routine, if you like. I don't want to use the word ritual, but I have a particular routine that has really helped me manifest the positive things in my life and really change my life. So what I want to do is just share that with you guys as well. First of all, a little bit of background about myself for those of you that don't know me too much. Obviously, a lot of what I've been talking about recently has been about my spiritual awakening and about how connecting with my higher self has changed my life and finding out that I'm Starseed. But what I just wanted to do is, I don't want everyone to get the impression that I've always been some sort of, what I would say, I always use the term New Age guy that's really been very spiritual and into all spirituality and all these other things, because that's really not the case at all. On my first video, ADHD, Bipolar, Watch This Now, I talk briefly about how I came to this experience and how I came to be doing these videos today. What I wanted to do, just talk a little bit more in detail before we go on to the other elements, just to further back that up and explain. So obviously I'm 39 years old. Throughout my whole life, I've never really been drawn to anything spiritual. I don't believe in God as such. I don't believe in God and such. I don't believe or didn't connect with anything to do with spirituality. I was a very typical, what I'd call stereotypical bloke. Okay, my main interests were going to the gym, going out to see friends. My main belief structure was based on science. I was a very black and white person. Okay, so and all my beliefs were based on what I could read, what I could see, and then what I could make my informed decision of. So prior to my spiritual awakening, if anyone believed that, or anyone asked me what my belief system was, I'd guess the closest thing I could relate to is that we all came from aliens. At some point in time, they decided to create our planet and brought us here, or done some sort of change to the evolution structure to create humans. That was, in short, my belief structure, and that was true up until 8 weeks ago. Like I say, I've struggled with mental health my whole life and been through a variety of issues in my life that's led me to some quite dark places. I've had 2 suicide attempts in my life. The first one was a couple of years ago, and the second one was 8 weeks ago. Now, I just really want to qualify that. At the time, my life on the surface seemed quite great, quite happy. I had a really good job. I've got a wonderful girlfriend, or now fiance, Verity, and a wonderful stepdaughter, Amelia, and my son Logan, who I love more than anything in the world as well, of course. And there were a variety of little events that were creeping into my life that I found I was manifesting in my life because I felt a certain way. So I went through a not very good relationship in the past, and I found that I was manifesting those thoughts or those feelings about things that weren't really there in my present relationship, and it was making me feel very unhappy and sad. And likewise, I just had this feeling, although everything was great, I don't know whether you guys have ever felt like this, but I just felt like I didn't belong. I felt empty. I felt a little bit lost. And like I say, anyone that looked on my life on the outside, looking in, would say I was very, very blessed and very lucky to have the life that I have. And that much is true. But anyone that's really struggled with any mental health issues at all will totally understand that it's not what's on the surface. It's not that outward projection that the outward human structure of projection we have of how our life is. It's really sometimes a deep feeling inside and that can vary across the mental health ranges. That can vary from feeling lost, feeling like you don't belong, feeling that no matter how good your life is, you've got an overwhelming sadness, or a wide range of thoughts and feelings that can lead you to a place where you just don't feel like being here anymore. And that's totally where I was 8 weeks ago. Something that I'm not particularly proud of feeling that way, but on the flip side, it has totally changed my life. It was a defining moment in my life. Now, my experience myself, to put it quite bluntly, I was just going to go off into the sea and hopefully the sea take its course, and that was the end of it. Luckily, there's some intervention, and that included a conversation with a really nice police officer who made me realise that what I was experiencing and what I was going through, I wasn't alone. Because that's one of the most important things that I want everyone that's going through anything right now to really understand. The most darkest, overwhelming feeling that we will all feel is that you feel that you're alone and you're going through this alone, and you're the only one going through this. And what I want you to know right now is you're not alone. There are so many people on the planet going through these experiences right now, and that's really why I was drawn, another reason why I was drawn to connect and do these videos and bring people together, so we can all understand that firstly, you're not alone. Firstly, there's so many people that are going through the same feelings, and if we can all just connect with each other, and if we can all just communicate with each other, we can help bring each other from that place. So that's the first thing that I really wanted to talk about. The second thing that I really wanted to talk about, that I covered a little bit in my video in ADHD, Bipolar, Watch This Now. Again, I come from a science background. Everything that my belief structure has been built on is based on I must be able to see a fact. It must be black and white. It's either sun or moon. It's either dark or etc. So when I started going through these feelings and experiences myself, when I came out the other side, I had a bit of time to myself. Off work for obvious reasons. I had a little bit of time to myself to start thinking about this, and I stumbled across some information on the internet about people with mental health issues and people with across the spectrum, all of these different labels that I call, so ADHD, bipolar, depression, schizophrenia, whatever you want to call it. Now, I stumbled across something that was really, really interesting, that really, really resonated, connected with me, is the science behind the label. Now, you can go on the internet when you've got more time and Google this yourself and find these fact bases yourself. I toyed with the idea today of linking to references of lots of research that I've read, but I believe, and my guide, if you like, expressed that I think everyone should go on this journey together, and I don't want to cloud anyone's judgment of free will of research and by directing them to anything in particular. So just know everything that I'm going to talk about today, there is scientific research, if you like, to back those facts up, and it'll allow you to make the choice to take that path and research that yourself, of course. I'm not expecting anyone to take what I'm saying on face value. However, I digress. So we go back, and I was looking at mental health, and I was Googling around really a cure or a way to help myself, if you like, and I stumbled across some research on the internet. There was 2 or 3 studies that have been conducted in the United States and one in Canada, and they've basically took a collection over 5 to 7 years of 7,000 individuals that are normal, if you like, and don't have mental health issues or have never suffered depression or never suffered dark places, and they took 7,000 people that do. Now, through a period of clinical trials, I don't know if you guys know anything about clinical trials, but basically I've done a few in my young years. You basically get paid a sum of money to go to a research facility for 7 to 14 days, and they do various sorts of, I don't know, experiments, if you want. There's stage 1 medication, stage 2 medication, and they also pay people to do brain scans so we can try and understand a little bit more about the brain and the structure. Now, through these researchers, what they found is when you take the 7,000 people that have something wrong with them, and you take the 7,000 people that don't, all of the 7,000 people that do have almost identical brain structure. Now, there's some slight differences in how severe or how dark the damage is, but basically, long story short, without going into much of technical detail, everyone has this grey spot within their brain that causes or is the link to all of these conditions. Now, you may think, oh, okay, that's great, everyone who's crazy operates the same way. However, I then stumbled across some other research that made me understand that we are different for a reason. Now, the reason that I've come to that conclusion, if anyone has ever looked into or talked to anyone or known anyone that's had a near-death experience, or if anyone's watched the film Flatliners, the original was one of my favourite films. The remake was pretty good as well. If you haven't watched that, it really is worth a watch on a side note. Now, what that film deals with, or if anyone has spoke to anyone that's had a near-death experience before, or from reading about it, you will understand that when you have a near-death experience, in nearly all cases, that person that has a near-death experience just that, a near-death experience. You can put a label on it, call it a hallucination, a trip, but nearly everyone can recall going to another place or seeing their whole life flash before their eyes. Now, this is a chemical reaction. Again, with my science head on, there is a very, very good scientific reason for that. There is a chemical in the brain called DMT. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the full scientific name, but it's called DMT. Again, you can Google it and research it. Now, DMT is responsible for the release, or the release of the amount of DMT that you have in your body is responsible for how you perceive your reality. So, for example, there are cases in America, and not so much in this country, where people are obtaining illegally DMT and using it as a hallucinogenic drug, much like magic mushrooms. But we have this chemical in our brain. Now, what happens is that is released from the pineal gland, which is also, for those of you that are more spiritual aware, is based on the science that the DMT is released from the pineal gland, which, as we know, is the third eye. Okay. Now, that release is only simulated in 2 scenarios. Number 1, a near-death experience. Now, number 2 is during either hypnosis or meditation. So, I looked at this and thought, okay, there's only really 2 instances that's released, so I started researching and do some other studies. And during meditation, the amount of DMT that is released is exactly the same as the amount of DMT released in a near-death experience or an hallucination. So I started to think, what if this isn't an hallucination? What if this release of DMT from the pineal gland, from your third eye, enables you to connect with another realm, to connect with your higher self, however you want to label it? And for the first time in my life, I took that on board, and I just thought, okay, the science backs up that there's something that we don't understand. Being that kind of inquisitive kind of guy, I thought, I'm going to look a bit more into this, and I was really searching for the answers. Now, in the meantime, I also stumbled across something called the Solfeggio frequencies. Now, for those of you that are a little bit more spiritually aware, you understand that there's 7 chakras in the body. All of those chakras vibrate at a different frequency of sound. The Solfeggio frequencies have been used for tens of thousands of years, and they are sounds that resonate as a particular frequency for a particular chakra. And there is some information for it on my YouTube playlist that you can have a look and have a little listen to it. But the Chinese Buddhists use this, the prehistoric monks use this. This is something that is proven. They used it in their meditation. Now, again, this isn't something that I've ever had any interest in. And when I read it, it wasn't as if I stumbled across and thought, this is the answer, this is what I've been looking for. But something within myself, something that I can't explain, told me to start listening to it. So my chakra meditation, unguided meditation, that's actually on my YouTube channel, is the same meditation that I listened to just while I had a nap for an hour for 7 days. And on that 7th day, I had a conversation with a very good friend of mine, who I'm not going to name because he's not the least bit spiritual, and probably would be quite embarrassed about our conversation being public. But someone that I've known for 10 years or so, and we've spent a lot of time together in a party environment, and never had a conversation about anything spiritual. Now, on this particular day, on the 7th day, he dropped me a text, said, "Can you give me a lift?" I was already sat at home, and I was quite comfortable and not in a great place, so I couldn't really be bothered, if I'm honest. And I texted him straight away, said no. As soon as I sent that text, I had an overwhelming feeling to change my opinion, and I texted him right back and said, yeah, okay. Now, bearing in mind, over the course of our 10-year friendship, we've probably spent 100,000 hours talking to each other in all sorts of drunk states and at the gym and things like that, and we've never had, a spiritual conversation together ever. We got in the car, and he asked me how I was doing, and I explained about what I'd been through and what I tried to do. And he said to me, well, I had a dream about something called starseeds and light workers. And I said, okay, what's that? He said, I don't really understand it. He said, I don't really know. He said, I've not Googled it. He's not really a technology person. He's not the type of person to go and Google it, something, and learn about something. But he said, he said, I know you're quite an intelligent guy. And he just explained a little bit how we all think that we're in this earth body and that's it. The truth is that we all come from somewhere else, and we allow a part of our soul, a part of our being, however you want to label it, to come incarnate in a human body so we can have a human experience. And that really connected with me, bearing in mind my previous belief is that we come from aliens. I thought there'd be something in this, so I had a quick YouTube and Google, and I found that this was completely blown up. There was so many people that had this belief structure about higher self and spirituality, and as soon as I started listening to a couple of people talk about it, it was like a flick of a switch. This guy, there's a science-based guy that is black and white, that would have quite honestly called all this gobbledygook for 39 years of my life, up until 8 weeks ago, suddenly realised I'd been missing the link, I'd been missing the key. The reason that I felt lost, the reason that everyone else that has that label of mental health or anything wrong with them go through this experience of loneliness, is because they're destined for something greater. They have all this DMT floating around in their body, which is basically the ability for a spiritual connection. It's an ability to connect to something that can't be defined by what I call our 3D structure. So when I talk in my videos about 3D structure, basically we've got our 3D structure, which is our human body and our human emotions and all of the things we've come to know each day. Then we have 4D and 5D extension, which is basically levels of our connection with our spirituality. Now, all of you special individuals that have had this label have an ability. It's a scientific fact that you have more of this DMT in your body. You have more of this DMT in your brain, should I say, all floating around, waiting for you to utilise it. Okay. Now, also bearing in mind, there's other scientific research that says that we only use 10% of our brain. If anyone's ever watched the film Lucy, about when she makes that progression into using 99% of her brain and all these weird and wonderful things happen, and yeah, it's just a film. But you have to allow for the fact that we only use 10% of our brain out of 100%. Now, if you were to say that all of us individuals that have this DMT floating around in our body are using just 0.1 or 0.2% more of our brain, then there are already other scientific theories that once you get to like 15% and 20%, you start to develop psychic abilities and start to develop, senses outside of the normal 5 senses. Again, that's backed up with some more science. Dolphins, by contrast, use 11% in their brains, not 10%. Now, dolphins and other sea mammals have the ability for sonar, which is basically sonar on a base level. We think of it as using as ships. Ships and submarines use it to map the ocean and see where things are. And that's true to a certain extent. Dolphins use sonar to put a signal out into the sea so they can map the sea and know where they are. But the other part of sonar is dolphins use it for communication. A dolphin can communicate with another dolphin over hundreds of miles using sonar, which is basically the power of thought. It's an absolutely mind-blowing subject, and which is why a lot of the science bases play it down a little bit and say, dolphins use sonar to find the way. But if you're interested in me in discovering a little bit more, watch some documentaries on dolphins and about how they use their sonar, and you'll find enough information out there to actually back up what I'm saying and realise they communicate with the mind. So let's take a step back and just look at where I was 8 weeks ago. Science, black and white person that didn't believe in any of this mumbo jumbo, that had was drawn through my experience to start listening to solfeggio frequencies, discovered that I had more of this psychic ability, if you like, this DMT, this physical chemical, this scientific chemical in my brain, and knowing that dolphins and other creatures are unable to communicate with their mind with this just by using 1% more of their brain than we are, the science started to back up what I would say is the fiction, if you like, what I believed was a fiction before. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever had any research into anything like that or discovered anything like that before, but if you're watching this now, it means that you do have that connection and you do have that ability to, you are in that few percent higher. So I would guide you to just do some research. Don't take everything that I'm saying on face value. I'm not claiming to be the Messiah. All I'm doing is sharing my experiences with you and letting you know that from a black and white man point of view, there's so much science to back this up. Now, the other thing that I've always had a great connection with is the pyramids. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have had any drawings to the pyramids or find it something that you are naturally interested in. I would probably hazard a guess that if you're watching this right now, 90% of you have got a real good interest in the pyramids and that spirituality side. I have, and I started to look at this a bit further, and I discovered a range of really interesting documentaries that backed up my belief structure. So firstly, let's talk about what my belief structure is. So through my spiritual awakening, through my meditation, I have become aware that there is only a small part of ourselves, our soul, our entity, however you want to label it, inside our body. We exist in many different forms, in many different dimensions at the same time. And we all connect to our one higher self, or our spiritual self, however, again, you want to utilise these labels. Now, the basis, the theory is, we have an understanding that suns, or stars if you like, with the sun as a star, for those of you that don't know too much into science, stars have a huge amount of energy, light and vibration. Now our star has enough light and enough vibration to bring life to our planet. Our star is absolutely tiny in terms of mass and in terms of power. There are stars in the universe, in our Milky Way, that are on the edge of our Milky Way, that are, now this takes a little bit of getting your mind around. If you could imagine something that weighs 10,000 times more than our sun, but is the size of a football. Now this isn't pseudoscience, this isn't make-believe. There are scientific documentaries in there, there's satellite images of this exact same thing within our galaxy. Now that's just within our galaxy. If we imagine, we know that there's about 246 galaxies in the universe, and if we take the law of averages, that what we can see in front of us is probably about 10% of what exists in the universe, then there are stars out there that have so much magnitude, so much energy, and so much light that they can't possibly be mass. They can't possibly exist as a physical ball, if you like, which again is proven by science. There are stars which create black holes or create antimatter that basically exist as energy but don't exist in a physical form. Now this is the theory of a starseed. So we exist in space, in the universe, as star energy. We exist as a non-physical entity, and we have such extreme power in that entity that we are able to manifest anything that we want. Can you imagine having the sheer power and the sheer light and the sheer vibration of the stars, being a non-physical being, the sheer power? Stars create the universe. Stars create the universe, so we have got that magnitude of power. Therefore, we have unconditional love and bliss because we don't want for nothing. We have such an incomprehensible amount of power that we're able to just have whatever we want, exist wherever we want, move to wherever we want. And obviously in space there isn't time like we think of now. In the human ego structure, we're taught that time is a line. Okay, so this is today, timeline goes along, this is tomorrow. Space isn't bound by that physical reasoning. Okay, and there's all sorts of very, very clever people that have explained it, theoretical physicists and things like that have explained that space doesn't exist that way. Space exists in many different timelines and dimensions at the same time. So you could travel in space from here to here and think that you're getting from the beginning to the end. But the reality is you can go from here to here and end up in the past, or you could go from here to here and end up in the future. There's a non-linear line. So once you understand that, you start to understand that we have all of this ability and all of this power, but the one thing we can't experience is what we as humans take for granted. We can't experience what it's like to persevere against the negatives of existence. We can't possibly understand what it's like to want something and not have it immediately, not to have that, to have time. Okay, so to not say, okay, I would love to be living in a house in America by the beach, and not for it to happen instantly, for us to start to have to achieve goals, to have goals, to achieve an end, to achieve that dream that we have. So we decided to manifest into a human body. Every single person that's come onto the planet has manifested here with a very small fraction of their soul to experience this human existence in order to learn how to have unconditional love and bliss, but in a physical body. Now, not everyone is going to get their head around that in the first instance, and again, if any of you want to chat about that in a more detail through private message or separate one of these feeds, we can cover that at that point. But what it's bringing me to is I started to think about this, and I was drawn to the pyramids. Now, through looking at my experiences of the pyramids, I discovered something that completely changed my life. So our belief structure, what we're told about the pyramids, is they were created 7,000 years ago in Egypt. Then when the Romans conquered Egypt, the Egyptian race was wiped out, and so was any understanding, any written knowledge of how these pyramids were built and how these pyramids were existed. Now, on my playlist, there's a playlist that I've shared and made public called Pyramids, where we talk about that, where there's documentaries that I found that cover that in a great more detail, and I encourage everyone to watch it. As with any documentary, they are not biased towards what I call Starseed. They're basically explaining about how the pyramids existed and decoding the pyramids and what they were for. I want everyone, if you watch them, just to set your mindset that instead of talking about aliens, and instead of talking about ancient civilizations or ancient people, imagine, just replace that with starseeds and watch those documentaries, and I'd be really keen to discover what you think and feel. However, there are some facts that I want to share with you. So the Giza pyramid, that is largely known as the greatest pyramid in the world, they date that at 7,500 years old. Through these documentaries and through another documentary on Netflix called Unlocking the Pyramids, through using scientific techniques, they've actually discovered that this is close to 34,000 years ago. And it was built with such a feat of engineering that the blocks that they were using were engineered totally square and totally perfect, a feat that we can't even do today, let alone 34,000 years ago. Now, also, the other discussion point is that the Romans conquered the whole world. When the Romans come to Britain, we were an ancient pagan existence. So we were pretty much running around in mud huts, living in squalor, believing in witches, burning witches at the stake. And the Romans come here and conquered us and completely eradicated our way of life and changed us forever. However, there is still existence and there is still knowledge about our pagan background that you can read, relate to. There's texts, there's books, and there's artifacts that explain our way of life. Yet the Romans conquered this massively superior race that were able to create pyramids 34,000 years ago and completely wipe from existence any knowledge of how they were built or why, because no one knows why they were built. And we're expected to believe that, and that's where I say to you, the best secrets are kept in plain sight. Now, the other thing that I'm just going to share with you today is that the pyramids don't just exist in Egypt as we first thought. There are in excess of 500 pyramids all around the world. They found pyramids in China, they found pyramids in Mexico, in North America, in Africa. Now, they all have one thing in common. They all have a similar design, and they're all created, and again, in one of the documentaries it shows you this in scientific fact, but they're all created so it makes a new equinox around the Earth, a centre of the Earth. Now, that particular linear line is a line that allows you to see which star system is in the sky, is present in the sky at that time. So whether it's a system of Aquarius or whether it's a system of Taurus, but basically they were all created 34,000 years ago, perfectly aligned to an equator of the Earth that they didn't know existed. No one knew that the Earth was round, apparently, to look up and tell us, and basically be a map for where we are in the sky on a rolling star system. So just to give you a fact based on the star in the sky at the moment, I think is the age of Aquarius. For that star to go all the way around that elliptical orbit and come back around is 24,000 years. So they were making a calendar that was a 24,000 year calendar to tell us where we are in the universe. Number one. Number two, they were actually generating light and vibration, hence my picture. And there's some scientific facts that I'm going to you'll see in the video, but basically to talk about it a little bit, you'll see here. Everyone, the common belief is that pyramids were actually for burying the dead. But we're expected to believe that they spent 35 years and 2 million man hours building a pyramid for someone that was just born for when they died, for it to be completed. And they've never found any physical bodies in the pyramids. They've found tombs, or what they think are tombs, but they've never found any physical pyramids. Now, this is what we call a pyramid power plant, or the Tesla model. Now, it basically shows that the Great Pyramid of Giza, and you'll see it in this documentary, was lined up so that it faced the belt stars of Orion, Orisis, and Sirius, so it could show exactly when that star was present in that night sky. Now, through these systems of chambers, they actually made underground passages that tapped into subterranean chambers and into quartz and into water. Now, if any of you are into your crystals, you will understand that one of the strongest ways to magnify the effects of a crystal is to put it in water. Now, what this subsequently meant, and what it has been proven, if you take voltage meters into these pyramids, is they generated vibration. They generated a huge amount of vibration that would create energy and would create light. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into it because these documentaries cover it in a much better way than I'm able to explain. But what I basically wanted to cover with you today is that if you take the understanding that these pyramids were built all around the world 34,000 years ago to be able to draw light in, to be able for light to travel and be absorbed into them from the latest star system, from the star system that was most prominent in the sky at that time over our planet, and that light was able to be guided anywhere around this equinox, anywhere in every single planet in the world, every single continent in the world. And we're light beings that are able to come here and have been coming here for thousands of years. What if that light that the pyramids were meant to generate was to enable us to incarnate from our spiritual realm into a human consciousness? Now, what if also the reason that there is no knowledge of how these pyramids built or how they work, even in modern age, even now scientists can't understand and can't tell you, they can only hypothesize about how they created this energy. We can't recreate it. There's only one person on this earth that was able to recreate it, and that was a guy called Tesla, who created basically wireless free electricity using the Baghdad battery, which is what the pyramids are actually based on. And again, there's a lot more content, a lot more scientific explanations on the internet and on videos on my playlist than I can probably explain today. But if we take that theory and take that hypothesis that I believe we're light beings that are able to travel and incarnate here, the pyramids had the ability to vibrate at such a frequency that they're able to physically draw light in. And there were tombs in the pyramids that weren't let's say they weren't for burying people. Let's say that if you went into that tomb, you're able to harness that light. That light was able to travel into that body in that tomb. Now, that is the principle of starseeds and how we came into existence, and how I believe we've been here for many thousands of years trying to evolve into this consciousness, into this fifth extension of unconditional love and bliss. Now, this obviously hasn't worked in the past. There was obviously some event, something that happened where we decided that this isn't working, we need to start all over again. And that brings into another part of a video that I'll talk about another time, which on the main calendar actually predicts every 100,000 years that there's every 50,000 years that there's a golden age of existence, and that golden age of existence is full spiritual awareness and unconditional love and bliss. Now, the two golden ages, the previous one was 34,000 years ago when the pyramids have been dated to exist. The other golden age started on 29th of December 2012, which is the extension to spiritual existence. I'll cover that more in another video today, because I appreciate that's a heck of a lot of science and you guys are probably being overloaded with information. But I just encourage you, what my point is I just encourage you guys to look at what's hidden in plain sight. If you're watching this video, you do connect with what I'm talking about, take the time to explore what's hidden in plain sight, and start with the videos on my playlist called Pyramids. Just watch them, don't judge them, just have the intention that what if when they talk about aliens and ancient civilization they were talking about us and starseeds instead, and just let me know what you think. And that's really what I want to talk about firstly today, and how that helped me. Secondly, we talked a lot about how unlocking the matrix and how you're able to manifest anything that you want. And I know my meditation videos, I've encouraged you to do my meditation videos daily, and in order to help you and guide you with a better life. And what I just wanted to do is just share with you today as well my plan, if you like, how I set up my day to manifest everything that I want and bring me unconditional love and bliss. So I'm just going to put that up on the screen now. This is a little bit of text, so bear with me if it doesn't go straight right. There we are. Now you should. Can everyone see that on the screen? Hopefully you can. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about unlocking the matrix. Hang on a second. Right, there we go. That should make things a little bit better. So this is my unlocking the matrix. This is my 24-hour positive manifestation for a better you. Now, I encourage anyone that is slightly interested in what I'm doing, or has given any of my meditations a go, please look at this plan, follow this plan, and I can there's a way that you can get the plan off me. I'll talk about that at the end of the video, but I encourage you to follow this for 21 days, and I promise you your results will be amazing. You will unlock a happier, more complete life. So first off, as I say, this is a routine to attract what you really want in life. This routine, when you practice it daily, it will change your life for good. So first thing every day, so this is the time that I get up. This is based around my times, but feel free, or my times of meditation. Feel free to adjust this with your schedule, but what is important is the timings of the schedule for when you get up, and making sure that you stick to a routine every day. So at 7 o'clock in the morning is my time to manifest my success. So as I wake up, you take a moment to visualize the day's events unfolding in a positive way. So really think about your day and what you've got ahead today and what you're going to do today, and start to visualize it happening in a really positive way. Build a clear, vibrant image of what you want from the coming hours, and put yourself in a perfect mood to start the day. See yourself in your day, imagine your day, and visualize it, and see yourself as happy, strong and satisfied, and imagine all the good things that you plan to do for today. Now, after you get up, that takes 10 minutes of your day. I'm sure we can all appreciate when we start talking about creating a better life for ourselves, taking 10 minutes before you get out of bed to build that image of a day is really, really achievable. So after you get out of bed at 7:10, focus on your goals. Get up, Take the time to write down at least one goal for you to accomplish that day. Nothing is too small as long as you make it part of your overall plan to transform your life. So for example, you might write down that you're going to talk to a new colleague at work today that you haven't spoke to before, or you're going to spend half an hour honing in a new skill. It could be trying something different at the gym, it could be going to a class that you haven't been to before, it could be, I don't know, learning to play the guitar that you've always thought about doing. But just focus on writing down one goal today that you're going to accomplish. Now that's going to take you a few minutes. At 7:30 or half an hour after getting up, I want you to begin to unlock that positive day. As you're getting ready to go out, spend half an hour reciting this affirmation in the mirror, and you are going to feel perhaps like an idiot at first, but get over that human structure of embarrassment, human structure of conditioning of what things you're meant to do and what things you aren't meant to do. Just let go and go with this. Go to a mirror and choose something simple but positive, like today will be a wonderful day, or I am confident and I can accomplish anything I set my mind to do. Just take 30 seconds of your day to repeat that over and over and over again. Now I'm sure everyone in their day can find in their routine, even if it means just waking up just 30 minutes earlier, to build that into your daily routine. Because I guarantee you, after you've got up, you've visualised your success today, what is going to happen, you've built a clear image, you've focused on your goals, you've written it down, and you've looked in the mirror and you've told yourself a positive affirmation, you already half an hour into the day are going to feel absolutely amazing and ready to crack a day and ready to completely smash it, and you're going to have all this energy. You're going to have all this positive energy already, okay? Then at 8 o'clock, you're going to really lock that in. You're going to start to manifest it, and the way you manifest it is by making it real. So discuss your plans while having breakfast with your friends and family. Talk about what you want to achieve and tell them clearly and with conviction. For example, you might say, I'm going to redecorate my apartment soon, or I'm going to find a job that I truly love. Start to manifest it by telling people. And then the key to the power, the key to achieving whatever you want, is to raise your vibration. And the key to raising your vibration is unconditional love. So you're going to lock in that unconditional love every day. On the way to work, or on your way to the school run, or on the way to your gym, challenge yourself to rack up as many random acts of kindness as you can. Now, these don't have to be big random acts of kindness. This could be something as simple as moving a snail out the road so it doesn't get stood on, or saying hello to that old person that you always see on the way to work or on the school run that you never speak to before, or that girl or that mum in the playground that always stands on her own that doesn't really speak to anyone on the school run. Go up to her, say hello, say how are you. Random acts of kindness will raise your vibration to unconditional love. You could, for example, give up your seat for someone on the bus, or just simply holding the door open for someone. Compliment a stranger on a beautiful outfit, or if you're going into Costa in the morning or any other coffee shop, give a larger tip than you need to. And we're already building that positive energy and starting to build for a great day. So at 9 o'clock or whatever time you get to wherever you are, I'll use this example at work, start spreading that positive energy, start beaming it out. Okay, when you greet your work colleagues and go about your day, be as positive as possible. Tell people about something wonderful that happened to you the other day and explain why you're excited about the week, and display genuine interest in others, and I can guarantee you people will start to look at you a different way. People will start to feel your vibration and feed off it, and you will start to create a more positive atmosphere everywhere you go. Now, the most important thing about this is avoid contributing any negative comments or making any complaints about tiredness, anything that can bring your vibration down. And I'm just going to repeat that. Do not lower your vibration. You have spent the time this morning to repeat your positive affirmations, to set yourself goals, to do random acts of kindness for strangers. You've raised your vibration, you're feeling amazing. The worst thing to then do is then go and gossip with someone else about something negative, about this person that they don't like, or, oh my God, I'm tired today. This is what people that are not awake to their spiritual, that haven't had their spiritual awakening, are conditioned to do to lower your vibration. Do not allow them. And then we go about our day and we come to our lunchtime. And this is a perfect opportunity to recharge yourself in our matrix moment. So at 12 o'clock or at your lunchtime, whatever that may be, take the time to be kind to yourself, to maintain your good mood and keep yourself feeling energetic. Spend your lunch hour being as kind to yourself and as possible. Eat fresh and healthy food, engage in stimulating conversation with others, and consider taking even 5 or 10 minutes to raise your heart vibration and renew your focus on your goals. And this is something that I do personally. I go outside and I go and sit and I do my raising my heart vibration for 10 minutes. Now, if any of you guys haven't watched any of my videos and seen the raising the heart vibration, please take a look. It's on my meditation videos, or if not, just drop me a message and we can talk about it. At 1 o'clock, continue to spread positivity. You might notice a little dip in the workplace energy as everyone else's vibrations start to dip after lunch, especially people that are eating crappy food or not eating well at all or not drinking enough. So it's worth making an extra effort to keep your vibration high until the end of the day. Make positive comments on work colleagues' progress, or inspire others with new ideas for projects, and be excited and infectious with your energy. Okay, so we go about our day and we come home. Now, the final part of the day is the real opportunity to lock it in. Okay, so when you're at home and having dinner with your friends and family, reflect on your progress. Talk about the things you enjoyed about your day instead of moaning about the things you didn't. And just like you did at breakfast, reinstate your intentions for the coming evening or for the week or more. Generally manifesting your ongoing efforts to attract the life you want. By speaking it outwards, you make it real. At 9 o'clock or whatever time, take the time to meditate. Find a quiet, peaceful space to meditate. And pick one of my guided meditations and do this daily for 21 days before changing to a new one. It takes 21 days to really lock in that affirmation of that meditation and what you're trying to achieve. So please stick with one for 21 days before changing to a new one. Now at 10 o'clock, as we start to think about bedtime, now's the time to manifest the reality that you want. So write in a manifestation journal. Finally, since keeping your vibration means energy becomes matter, like attracts like. By writing down your positivity in a concrete way is a key to experience even better days in the coming weeks and months. Write down all the little things that inspire gratitude, from substantial developments to little moments that make life worthwhile, like sharing a laugh with a friend, or your son or daughter randomly coming up and giving you a hug. Write down at least 5 things each day and let the positive feelings associated with that gratitude surround you as you prepare to fall asleep for the night. And finally, when you go to sleep, I would encourage everyone for 21 days to play the Solfeggio frequencies while sleeping to keep your vibrations raised during your sleep. Now, the ultimate goal for this, I talk a lot about raising your vibration and achieving a greater state of consciousness, and there is actually a physical chart to map that, and you can gather your target of where you are at the moment. Okay, so emotions is energy. Energy vibrates at a certain frequency. The law of vibration activates the law of attraction, and through the law of deservedness you attract what you send out by the emotions you hold in your body. So take a look at the chart here and just measure where you are now. If you're allowing yourself to feel grief, or to feel fear, or to desire things, or become angry about things, you're resonating at a much lower frequency, which means you don't have as much energy to manifest the main things you want. If you start to look up the chart here, you know, Einstein, for example, Einstein resonated at about 400. He had reasoning. He had acceptance of the things, but he had reasoning for the things around him. He hadn't made that ascension into love, into joy, and into enlightenment. If we look at someone, for example, like the Dalai Lama, who was over a 700, because the Dalai Lama had experienced love, joy and peace and gone on to enlightenment. And this really is the path to true happiness and raising our vibration. And by raising our vibrations, we will raise the vibrations of everyone else on the planet, whether they become aware or whether they become awake or not. By raising everyone's vibrations, we are creating a positive world for ourselves. Now, that's all I really wanted to talk to you about today. Now, my meditations, appreciate some of my meditations, or most of my meditations, are about an hour, because they're designed to get you into a deep state of relaxation, so you can really go into your subconscious. I am going to be creating some shorter 20-minute meditation videos based on the same subject matter, that as you become more comfortable with the meditation, as you become more aware by raising your vibration, you will find it takes you less time to reach that relaxed meditative state. And then you can start to move on to my short videos that I'll be creating over the next week and months. And like I say, I can't tell you how much more important it is to raise your vibration, to keep that unconditional love and bliss, and to follow the plan. I'm going to follow this up with another live video soon. There's a 7-day and a 30-day plan, which I'm going to bring on board in the next few weeks. But that's on the feedback of you guys. I'm sharing this to help you. I'm sharing my experiences and what I use. This isn't just stuff I found and think, oh, this sounds interesting. This is what I use to make my life amazing. This is what I use that has brought me from 8 weeks ago wanting to end my life to feeling amazing and manifesting the life that I want. And I've met some wonderful people along the way. I mean, I'm fortunate enough, I've been doing this journey for just over 3 weeks on YouTube. You know, I've got thousands of people watching my videos. I've met the wonderful Dawn, that we're going to be doing a radio show on Harbour Radio tomorrow, so please tune in, everyone, to that between 2 and 4. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about this. So it is positive proof that you can manifest the life that you want and be happy, and I want to be able to share that happiness with everyone. I want everyone else to feel as amazing as I feel. So I encourage you, please follow my meditations for 21 days. Please follow this plan. Please give me feedback. If you've got any questions or anything, I'm open through all of the medium channels. You can drop me a message on my Facebook page, or through private messenger, and let's interact, but let's make the world a better place. If you've got any feedback from today, I'd really appreciate you guys dropping me a private message on Facebook. Like I say, this is the first ever live video I've done, so you know, want to know whether it's something that you guys would like me to do again, or anything I can improve. Again, this is a learning process for me. And lastly but not least, everyone tonight, please take the time to watch just one of the pyramid documentaries on my YouTube playlist, The Pyramids. Just watch one, with the intention that instead of when they talk about aliens or high races, you're going to replace that with the philosophy of Starseed. And also, I'd be really interested tomorrow if everyone could just drop me a message on the Facebook page, or the group discussion, should I say. Just let me know what you thought. Or if you haven't got the confidence to do that in person, drop me a private message. But I encourage everyone, please start interacting with the Facebook group. I've created the group as a safe place for discussion, as a safe place for questions and answers. And on that page will only ever be love and unconditional bliss. But it's really important that we all start to connect, and we all start to feel comfortable enough to share our discussions, to share our experiences, and help each other raise our vibrations. If there's nothing else really left to say today, so I'm going to sign off. I'm going to say, guys, thank you very much. I'm going to turn the video off for a few minutes before I go, but I'm going to leave the chat open. And if any of you guys got any comments or anything, or any questions that you want to ask before I go, please do so. This is your opportunity to do so now. So if you've got any questions, please fire away.